Good evening, everyone. It is time now for Division 2 here at Spa. Nathan Doan is too busy beating up criminals in dark alleys to do the broadcast for us tonight. But tonight, we have a little special guest. Instead of Nathan and Magnuson, it is myself and Freddie Razzle. Fred, how are you doing? And on your, I guess for right now, what is it, 2 in the morning for you or something like that? What?
No, it's just an hour of what you said.
Okay.
Behind.
1
a.m. right now.
1 a.m. Yeah.
No, it's good to be back. My first broadcast of the new game. Very excited to be here once again.
I'm glad to have you here, Fred. It is always fun when we have you on here with us. And I know last season you kind of hopped in and did, I think, a D2 race last second for us while you were half drunk, and that was one of the highlights of the whole season. So
I don't really remember that day. Yeah, maybe too many, a few whiskeys or whatever I had, but I am not drinking for today. So you got a sober Freddy for once.
Sober Freddy, all right. So looking at here, I know, Freddie, you won't be able to see this as I'm pulling up for the broadcast, but I will pull up our Division 2 standings. And last week we had a big surprise with Man in the Box getting his first ever D2 race win. I think his first ever race win just in general in this smashed together D2 and D3 we have this season. Man in the Box with the timely safety card towards the end and the timely disconnect from Nadewell, who was also pushing on the same strategy in front of him. And we also see Peter there still in the lead, but Man in the Box is technically our net leader in the championship because this will be Peter's final race as a Ferrari driver tonight. He will be replaced by Chubb Tucker next week, and Chubb Tucker will be replaced by a driver yet to be announced in Division 1. So Peter will not be racing for the championship this season, so we're sitting with Man in the Box, Chonk, and Nade as our top 3. And now, Fred, I don't know how familiar you are with these guys, with guys like Chonk and Man in the Box, or even Nade. I don't think you've actually had a chance to really race with any of them, considering you're just too quick for them, and you've been in D1 since they have joined. I know for myself... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, last week I was engineering Man in the Box when I got announced to be with Haas. I like to take some compliments that I made him win the race last week as his engineer, but solid drive from him. Happy to see Chubb back in D2. Pretty much tell he's not made for D1 yet.
It is a big surprise. I know before this season, pretty much all of us inside of the admin room and the team principal room, we kind of expected that Chubb's his pace test was a little bit slower than what he was capable of. He did something in the 1951, I think, was his time. So we kind of locked him into D1 because last season, man, he would kind of bottle qualifying over and over and then have just insane race pace. And we saw it at the D2 race in China last season where he just ran away with it with the strategy. We have our first lap there for our reserve here, Rensler, and then Nade setting the pace, 42.9. So I believe you guys made it into the 40s last night.
Well, I don't think I did, but I think
whatever lap Hudson put in, I can't remember because Marcel just retired from P18 and then
you did,
yeah, and then drove all the way back to the front. So
I honestly forgot about Marcel. You know, he won as well last night, so didn't even realise he was at the back of the grid.
Yeah, and I know he did that MRL race with you guys yesterday. Slick Goku finishing his lap for 43.7. We'll see who else is on the lap. But yeah, very strong drive from Marcel. We are basically all just we are all just roadblocks for him. Right now, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people who can challenge him.
Well, you got me, but I keep bottling it.
Yeah, Fred, when you're on, you can definitely compete with them. And Nicholas Saro, who was out this week also, showed some really nice pace against him in his one race this season at Hungary, but even then, Marcel just blew by him.
Something about Belgium in quality is through Sector 2, you can actually go use ERS as medium instead of hot lap, because then you save more battery for the end straight.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a nice strategy. So really big gap in lap times here. Kind of a Williams sandwich between the people who have already set valid laps. Florida, well down in the 46.1s. Florida's had a bit of a struggle to the start of this season, not having a lot of agreements with this game so far, and struggling a little bit to keep it on track, but he is moving in the right direction. And there's Peter with an 8/10 gap between him and Nadewell. But again, Peter is here just to really take away points from everybody and give points to Ferrari for the combined constructors. Ooh, a little bit of a off-track excursion for that car there in front of Spanini. Spanini, who has had a couple of struggles. Spanini was in that fight for the win last week at Hungary, but the new driver on the grid, Palm Tree, his new teammate, is actually his brother also. Had a bit of caused a safety car, unfortunately, by crashing into the wall on his own. And then pit for a new wing. Spanini did not realize his brother was pitting, and he pit right behind him while Nadewell and Peter stayed out. And so that basically ruined his opportunity to kind of fight for the win. So Spanini looking to kind of make up for that.
Some may say Spanini could be a contender for pole around here. Apparently his TT time is up there with D1 drivers, so
well,
I mean, this lap looks a bit slow, so it doesn't look like it'll be challenging Peter's 42.1.
Ooh, a little bit of a broadcaster's curse for Spanini. Huge lockup for him as he goes into the bus stop chicane, so this is definitely going to hurt his lap, but it still puts him in a P3. So we have these huge gaps right now. Only 4 people faster than a 1 minute and 44 right now. Our race winner last week, man in the box, down in P5 with a 44.1. So we'll likely see pole somewhere in the 41s, somewhere between Peter, Spanini, and Nadewell, with potentially Joel. Ooh, saw Peter run into the wall there, but it's not going to matter, I don't believe. Still just waiting for a random ping from Discord for Joel telling me to invite him, but still not here yet. We have 9 minutes to go, so hopefully we can get Joel in the session. Looking here, so one thing that it seems to be the case with this game, just because the hard tire basically doesn't degrade at all, or the little that it does, it just does so slowly that you basically want to be on that tire for as long as you can. And it seems like any kind of alternate strategy, basically every track that we've seen so far this season, just doesn't really work. You have to start on a softer tire, then pit to the hards, rather than starting on the hards and pitting to something softer, right? That's just kind of the way this game is right now.
Tino going P3 with a decent lap. I mean, for someone that should not even be in this division.
Well, we did see him last night. He did reserve for my team in Williams, and he spun about 1,000 times and then retired in the pit lane, much to my chagrin. So that's less than ideal. We actually have Nadewell in low fuel mode here, going down back towards the pits, only about halfway back. So he's got a long way to go. Combined, just finishing his lap, sitting at 43, or actually, no, he just came out of the pits, excuse me. Combined, our number 1 overall pick here in D2 in our draft this season has definitely had a lot of struggle. As we pull up the standings again, Combined is down in P6, so he's still technically in the fight. He's only 11 or 9 points down on Man in the Box, who is currently our net championship leader when we ignore where Peter is at. As like we've mentioned before, this is his final race in this Ferrari seat this season. That's not necessarily his final race, but most likely as a reserve at any other point in the season.
Yeah, I was just watching Okage through Sector 2, going through No Name's corner, and he just had a really big moment getting off track. He had a decent Sector 1 time, I think probably 1/10 off where he should be through Sector 1, but yeah, went off track in the gravel. Invalidated his lap.
He did reserve in D1 last night. I believe he stayed on the lead lap, but he was I believe he stayed on the lead lap, but he did have a couple of spins during the race last night. He didn't actually finish dead last, so that was a very nice showing for him. Who Goldie has always kind of been known a little bit as someone to have a couple of spins every now and then. So hopefully we can kind of see him a nice clean race tonight. We have Chonk here actually going down the Kimmel Straight for his second push lap here. Chonk showing some nice pace last week, getting a very solid result. Chonk currently in P6 with a 43.6, so a lot of time to improve, but well away from where we expect pole to be. And just well away from where the current pole sitter Peter sits. So right on board with him.
I'm
Seems like
expecting
Chonk.
pole to be.
Yep, go ahead.
Can I say that? I was expecting pole to be around a 41.5. I think Peter maybe get a few more tenths into that, but I don't think anyone will be getting under the 0.5. Potentially Chonk with his lap.
So Chonk about 5/10 up on his time, so he's still in the 43s with his current delta right now. Maybe with this final few corners he can put it down into the 42s. It doesn't seem that Chonk got your memo, man, and he used hot lap through that entire middle sector, so he is out of battery well before he gets to the bus stop. Very slow through the bus stop there, very cautious. Taking a very narrow line on exit, so actually losing time.
That's because he used all his battery down the straight.
He must have expected a little bit more understeer on exit with a little bit more power, but still nice lap for him. Puts him into P3 just ahead of Ahmed in that Kick Sauber. We have Peter here who's pushing. He's a little bit up on his time by about 200s as he goes down towards Puan. Still holding his battery in hot lap, but I would imagine down Puan you'd keep it in hot lap rather than medium. Still in hot lap here, so he may have a similar issue as Chonk as he goes on the back straight. Still a solid amount of battery, but he may run out. So 2/10 up on his time right now as he goes into that sector 3, and that he is fastest of the first two sectors by quite a bit. So we will see here, unless he messes up this bus stop, he will be the first one to break into the 41s here. Actually saving enough battery to have a little bit on exit here too, so.
Yeah, did the right thing though.
So 41.9.
Did lose a bit of time for the last sector, but nah, it's still a solid lap.
And Slick Goku in the V-Carb here actually putting up a really nice lap, putting himself into P3, jumping in front of Chonk. So with 4 minutes left in this session, still a very nice chance that we get another pole sitter here. Oh, there's Joel. So 4 minutes ago, Joel is finally sending me that message. So Joel's So, Joel might make it with no but maybe one qualifying lap if I can get him in here. Let's see, I don't even see him.
He's improved this time by 7 tenths. He's 6 tenths away from Peter now, so another solid time. I mean, everyone's, I think, is getting there, catching up with Peter, but I mean, P4 to, what was it, P9, it's only separated by like 4 tenths. So it's quite close there, but the top 3 are running away with it right now.
They most certainly are, and I apologize, everyone, for this extremely fun viewing experience of me scrolling through my friends list looking for Joel's name again. Once he gets in here, I can stop doing this. I'll just send him one more invite. There we go. Hopefully that gets him in. So let's see if we can find someone pushing here. I believe Rage is not pushing. Gunner is pushing down towards No Name, and there goes Joel. So if Gunner down here, a new reserve with us. Going down Puan for, I believe, his final time in this session, as we only have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And we're starting to see some people come out of the pits for their final push lap here. He has a lot of battery.
So Spanini's not going to get another lap in. I don't think Peter is either. They went a little bit late on their second run, so I think that's them done for the session. Maybe Chunk is coming out for his out lap now. Slick Goku is also coming out, so they've got to get a move on.
Gunner White coming through the bus stop chicane here for his final time in this session. Let's see, does he improve on this time? 44.7, so a nice little 7/10 improvement from him. That does put him in front of Palm Tree here and Florida. We still have 2 people. We have Giorgio, who had very nice pace in Canada in round 1 here, rounding the bus stop chicane for his first time lap here, 43.4. So well away from the top guys here, but in a solid starting position, depending on how much everyone else improves. So we'll hop on board here. I think we have
Palm Tree.
Palm Tree is the first one of these final runners to start a push lap as he heads down Kimmel Straight. Joel gets in his car and retires, so I guess he realized he didn't have enough time. Maybe he crashed. Hopefully.
I'll send him in a minute.
All right, you got it. So Palm Tree in his second ever F1 league race, as last week was his first one. He did cause a couple of safety cars. But hopefully very aggressive through No Name there, going into the grass. Not using any overtake yet. So he has a ton of battery for this back straight. Bonini has retired. Palm Tree's brother and teammate. Not enough time for a final lap, like Fred said a little while ago. You know, for Palm Tree's second ever league race, his pace isn't great, obviously, but he doesn't actually look like it's someone's second ever league race. It looks like he's been playing a little bit longer than that.
You could say that.
Yeah. Definitely seen worse drivers. So, Palm Tree.
Yeah, Buzzgod for one.
Yeah, Buzzgod, and then I think another guy named Luca, I think, would be among that list. So he finishes his lap with a 44.7, a little bit of a less than a tenth, or under a tenth of an improvement here. We have a lot of people pushing right now, as the checker flag has been waved.
Chicago is going to be starting last. He's invalidated.
Invalidated. So Rage finishes his lap there, 43.6 for him. Suzy Marmot finishes, man in the box, only improves up to P10. Or excuse me, actually, man in the box is pushing right now. Madewell. He's about 2.5 tenths up on his time, so he may be extending this lead to P4 here by a little bit, but he's still well away from where Peter is, unless he just has the most magical bus stop chicane of all time. So this should put him close to a low 42.3, so 4 tenths between P1 and P2. We still have Chonk pushing, but he's only about a tenth and a half up, so he's just looking to get into the 42s. Likely not He will likely not challenge Spanini for P3. The Med finishing his lap and goes actually up into P4, so 42.8. Now we'll have Chonk again, who should be fighting for that P4 position here. So right on board with him. Or Combine actually coming across the line. Combine goes into P5 with a 42.9. Chonk coming across, or coming through the bus stop chicane right now for his final go. Man in the box up into P6 with a 43.1. Not in the 42s. Chonk actually loses, does not improve, so he actually lost a ton of time through that second half of the lap. So Peter, as usual, back on pole. Nadewell behind him and Spanini right behind them. We saw them battle for the entirety of Hungary last week, so we get to see that again. Ahmed took off his sandbags and showed that he can actually complete a valid lap at this track, unlike he did last night. Combined, for the first time this season, no quali woes. He is in P5, although he is about a second off of that pole time. But Combined will be in a position to potentially fight for his first podium of the season coming up here. And also, as we kind of transition, the weather on my telemetry is actually showing thunderstorm at the start of the race. So we might be full wets. Yeah, we might be full wets at the start of this race.
So, yeah, there's some drivers complaining that they actually can't tell if it's wet or not. Some people saying, like one of the RB drivers saying, they've got an inter setup, but they've selected a dry. So I mean, it doesn't really matter because we don't have part firme on, so they can change the setup as soon as they get on the grid.
Yeah, that may be something we need to remind everyone, or potentially tell these new people. And Giorgio, Giorgio taking an intermediate setup that may, yeah, we're looking at full wets. It is wet as can be as we're waiting for people to change their setups. So what it looks like with our telemetry, it looks like we'll be full wet here at the start for at least 20, maybe 15 minutes, and then it should start drying, and we may be on a dry track at the very, very end. Excuse me. And in these conditions, I'm sure it will not be super beneficial for our kind of newer drivers like Palm Tree. But we will see. Here we go. We are on the lights, and we're getting ready to go. Everyone on full wet tires here at Spa, and away we go. We'll hop on board here with Spanini as we go through the start. Spanini with a decent start. Peter kind of struggling there at the start. Looks like a little bit of action towards the back. Oh, Nadewell with a big snap on the brakes there. Goes and gets overtaken by both Combined and Ahmed. A lot of stuff happening behind them. All these up and down arrows going all over the place. We'll get our detail here as the tire. So everyone on full wets. Med up into P2, actually getting in front of Spanini also. Rigrap with a 10-second penalty, so I guess a bit of a yellow flag stuff happening here.
There's a lot of bumping going on through turn one. Joel had a really good start, and then he made a little bit of an error through Eau Rouge, which makes him back down to P18. Looks like tricky conditions as well.
Really tricky, and we see Peter seems to be born for these conditions as he is already at 1.6 ahead of Ahmed in P2, or even just Ahmed is just a little slow holding everyone up here. Looks like Gunnar, one of our new reserves back here, and it looks like Joel going off behind. A little bit of a lockup. So Gunnar with some damage. It looks like he'll have to pit to get off that, but that gap just growing ever bigger. Spanini getting really, really close to Ahmed, so I'm assuming that is the case here. Ooh, yellow flags again. It looks like Gunnar and Florida off the track here in the back. We do see Gunnar with broken front wing. Florida, his front wing looks intact, so maybe just a bit of a spin here. But back here towards the front, we actually have some fighting here between Rensler and Nadewell. Terrible cameras. Rensler doing a good job so far. No, and Spanini getting by Ahmed in front of them as we head towards the bus stop for the first time this race. But 3 seconds for Peter already is the lead. And back here towards the back, Giorgio getting in front of his teammate Slick Goku. Peter setting the pace. And that, even though Spanini is actually ahead of Ahmed now, that gap is still growing. We'll see as we go through this lap if that is still the case. Rigraph again with a 10-second time penalty. Chonk kind of making some moves back here, getting in front of Man in the Box. They're just going side by side down the hill towards Radion. Who's going to back out first here? Chonk backs out. But man in the box very wild as he goes up the hill. And so Chonk has a really good opportunity to make a move back on him. So they're both just dumping their battery. Let's see if Chonk going to try to make a move. He does go up his inside. Behind them, Rigraff and Sudsy Marmot are also side by side. Chonk a little bit too far back to make a move. And Sudsy Marmot goes off the track and loses the position to Rigraff.
Seems like the Hasses are struggling. Man in the box made a huge error through the bus stop chicane, which led Chonk to go for a move.
Nah, I think it was Rigraff just going wild there, almost causing a big collision. But looked like Sudsy Marmot was able to get out of the way before they collided there. So we saw one lap ago, Rensler was right on the tail of Nadewell as we went down Blanchimont into the bus stop. But now he's losing time, and Nadewell showing some solid pace. But again, Peter is still pulling away from this secondary train here, pulling away from Spanini.
Oh, there's a big little crash from how do you say that name? Giorgio.
I think just Giorgio. I'm not really sure. Giorgio. Just keep it simple for now until he corrects us.
Call him George. We'll
call him George. Ooh, yellow flags again. I think that is Palm Tree going off at the back. And Palm Tree looks like his front wing. Oh, he has a little bit of damage there on his front wing, so he may have to pit here. No safety car yet, so that's positive for us. Peter, fastest lap. Another second gain for him, so over 4 seconds now to P2 and Spanini. So for right now, everyone is just fighting for the podium scraps at this point.
Yeah, Peter seems like he's on another level right now.
It's like Chonk and Rigraff kind of battling through turn one there. Chonk losing the position on the exit bus stop and then getting it back, but now they're going side by side down towards Radion. Chonk has a little bit of a lead, but he had a bit of a rough exit. Will they go side by side through the hill? Rigraff going around the outside as Chonk backs out on the throttle, so Rigraff getting that position back, but they're still losing time to the cars in front. Man in the box now 2 seconds up the road from them. Rensler and Nadewell fighting through turn 3. Also, Rensler getting that position.
Here comes Sudsy.
And now Sudsy Marmot.
And
he goes off again. We saw him go off here. Is anything bad going to happen as he rejoins? Yellow flags there, and so Sudsy Marmot losing some positions. Some really nice spray textures there. Florida in the back struggling. We have Palm Tree in the pits repairing his front wing. So we just kind of look at these deltas and kind of see who's battling. We have a big battle here for P8 with a current train led by Rigraff, and in the front kind of falling away from each other as Spanini and Ahmed are pulling away from combined, and Rensler and Nadewell. Big battling between them two is causing them to lose them as well. But here, now my telemetry is finally showing when it is. So 30 minutes from now, the rain chance is basically going to take a nosedive. But 30 minutes is basically the end of the race, so we'll see how this is going to go. We'll have to decide what tire to kind of go on here. We still see a lot of standing water.
I'm wondering if Peter, because he's got such a big gap already, maybe extend it a little bit more and then maybe start thinking about tyre management. Try and go to the end, because the wet tyres in this game, the percentage you get each lap is ridiculous. It's like 6-7% a lap, I'm pretty sure.
So right now, Peter sits at just under 8% as he goes into lap 4. So the tire wear right now is actually quite low.
He's not doing too bad on the tyres.
Some bumping here between Rage and Kagenis down in P14. Rage having a bit of a snap under braking. Again, it's kind of going into his side, but nobody worse for wear there. They did lose a little bit of time, so that big train we had being led by Rigraff is kind of falling apart here. Joel going for a move on Kiwi down Kimmel Straight, getting that move done easily. So Joel working his way up the field. Giorgio and Rigraff going at it here. Slick Goku and Rage fighting through turn 3.
Honk is struggling a lot. He can't keep up with Rigraff. Rigraff's got some decent pace through the wet on the back of George.
Yeah, and you were kind of talking about it earlier with the setups, with people kind of putting on inter setups and things like that, and people complaining. Ooh, Chonk actually under a big threat from Joel now too. But we were talking about setups earlier. I wonder if maybe Chonk misinterpreted the weather and went a little bit too dry leaning on his setup. And so maybe he's just struggling compared to other people who have a little bit more aero.
Yeah, that is a potential, but it doesn't look like. I'm not sure if it has me or the rain is slightly slowing down. I'm not sure if that's just from my POV. It is looking like it's turning into zone.
Yeah, we are looking at I'm actually not seeing any very much standing water. We still see a lot of water. Let me take a look here. We can actually see the tire deltas when I pull up my telemetry. Again, look at these overlays going for us next round. So everyone else can see these overlays and this information that I'm spouting off here. So looking at this right now, where tire deltas are not really working yet. Give me one moment. We'll ride on board with Ahmed as he chases Spanini for P2.
I think this is the lap to pit now.
Very possible. The only issue is, aren't the inters a little bit more, they wear a little bit more than the wets in this game?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe that's what I thought about the wets, but maybe it was the inters, about the tyre wear.
Right.
But George has actually made a move on a man in the box. Joel, he's going for an overtake on the Kemmel strike on the grass. There's Chunk. Joel does what he wants.
Joel, ooh, big snap of oversteer, but hangs on to it and gets the position in front of Chunk. So Joel definitely a lot more confident in the braking zones compared to Chunk, and then a lot more confident on the power too. He's basically drifting in front of Chunk and getting the position. As we head towards No Name and then down the hill through Puan. Kind of see towards the front again here. Combined is actually fallen off the leaders by quite a bit. Over 3 seconds behind Ahmed and Spanini here. And Peter well off in his own, about to set the fastest lap. Again, so you may be right. We may be getting close to intermediate weather. Tire deltas are not working on my telemetry right now, so it's hard to say for certain.
I think the Mercedes team have gone for more of a inter setup, just from how they're driving. Both struggling with tyres or just the track in general, especially on these wet tyres. So I feel like if they get a set of inters on, they could show more pace than what they're showing right now.
So Peter beating his previous best lap time by 0.8, and again Spanini beating his best lap time by over a second. So we're down into the 59s in terms of lap times. We were in the 2 minutes before. So the track is getting better to drive on. Definitely not drying up as we see the rain continue to fall, but we don't see any standing water as we roll through the track here. Joel actually losing a couple of positions there, heading into turn 1. So must have had a bit of a moment there on the exit of bus stop. And he lost position to both Chonk and Kiwi. Kiwi in her first race of season 11, being Red Bull's top pick in D2. But Joel looks like he's going to go around the outside as we go towards Kemmel Straight. Joel with basically negative battery here at this point. Giorgio just set the fastest first sector. And he is in clean air.
Gun on white, but he's also putting a wing on, but he's on the inter zone. This kind of gives us idea.
Definitely does.
Of which tire's a quicker tire, so keep an eye out on that. Praying for Labibs to see this.
Yeah, the big thing here is just going to be if people can figure out the perfect time to pit, if they can get on the inters soon enough without burning them out. Or excuse me, soon enough without being able to, not make it to the end. Spanini just set the fastest middle sector, so these times are just going to continue to tumble down, but the rain does not look like it's going to be slowing down at least for another 12 to 15 minutes. So we may be really close to intermediate weather, but we'll still be wet for some time now. So Peter again improving on his time. We should see Spanini improve on his time, if not beat this time set by Peter here. He does improve to 59.5, about half a second slower than Peter. So Peter is going to continuously grow that gap.
And we have our pitter. We have
another pitter, man of the box going in. So Labib is making the call for his team. Man of the box going to be the first one to go on the intermediates here. We also have Kagenis pitting in the McLaren, so Kagenis also following. Must think it's time for the intermediate tire as well, but a long way to go. We'll have to keep an eye on that tire wear as we move around this. Joel actually losing more position, so Joel keeps struggling. He was up into P10, lost it, and then now he's lost even more position, so he's lost about 3 seconds over the last couple of laps. And he goes off the track on the exit of Eau Rouge there, so Joel definitely having some struggles now. We all see Florida going into the pits. Florida who...
Maybe the tyres are overheating. Could be a potential. I've not done a wet race on this game yet, so don't really know how the tyres act up. But Gunnar White is catching slightly. That was 2 seconds at that. Florida has now pitted for some inters as well. So
man in the box will be our first real kind of good look at where we're at in terms of tires. So we'll keep an eye on that delta to him and Roldy. He was showing better pace on the wet tires compared to him before. Spinini setting the fastest middle sector again. And actually what happened while we were not paying attention was Rensler getting in front of Combined. So Combined being caught up by both Nadewell and Rensler getting that position from him.
There we go, Peter Giordano.
Peter Giordano into the pits.
T-Nell, yep. Seems like everyone is doing it now.
So let's see with Rensler. It looks like he's staying out.
Oh no, that's not the strategy. Oh, and there's a yellow flag. Oh no, that's Joel.
It's Joel. Joel who was flying for a while. Absolutely in the struggle bus now.
Very unlucky from him. But
very unlucky. And we see the rest of the grid basically all going in. Giorgio and Rensler, the only ones staying out for now. Joel rejoining the track, but we see everyone basically diving into the pits now without any real kind of certainty that it is time for intermediates. But we're at that point where the time's just going down and down. So we'll see. So Slick Goku staying out. Giorgio staying out. Rensler staying out. He has done the
undercut, man in the box. So
oh,
I think he did pit in the right lap, and there is still a few people that need to come in. So we'll see what happens.
So a lot of people passing Rage here on those wets, so it must be time for these intermediate tires. Again, there's not a lot of tire wear on the wets yet. We're only about 20%. So we'll keep an eye on how quickly these intermediate tires wear.
Oh no. Rensler's just gone off track. Go on.
On a big snap there from Nadewell. Rensler struggling a little bit, so he's going to fall down the order potentially when he finally pits here. And actually, yeah, he will. Peter actually right behind him. So he's lost a ton of time.
Yeah, he's struggling now. You can tell.
And we see Palm Tree getting out of the way, letting people lap him. So fair play to him. Nadewell getting in front of Rage and Slick Goku on those wet tires. So Nadewell definitely showing that he is on the right tires for now. And so Peter is now under 1 second behind Rensler. And Rensler, I can't imagine him staying out again here. Yeah, he goes into the pits. Giorgio should follow him, and Peter back in the lead by what looks like almost 8 seconds, if not more. About 6.6 is what it's showing. As his delta, Peter not improving on his lap time there, but this will be his first actual timed lap. Peter's enters are only just getting to 2% as he starts his second lap.
And Spinini's going to try and make a move on George, who's still on the wet tyres, by the way. And there we go, man in the box doing the quickest lap. Oh, that's a big slide from George. I feel bad for calling him George, but I don't really care. So.
Yeah, he's definitely under a lot of threat here from both Ahmed and Spinini. Spinini definitely will send it down the inside as we go into turn 3, but he's still kind of a ways back, having to back out there. Giorgio just basically closing the door on him. So nice job from Spinini to get out of that, not leave himself in a position where he can get spun. But he is losing a lot of time to Peter, but at this point, I guess it doesn't really matter. Peter's just too far gone. The only way for them to catch up with Peter would be a safety car or for someone to make a mistake. Spinini is showing he has a lot more pace on this tire right now, being really patient to not do anything that would compromise his race. Giorgio just so slow.
It's just quite funny. I think Spinelli's getting a bit annoyed right now. I think
Spinelli should clear him as they go through Blanchimont up here. Joel with the 3-second time penalty, adding insult to injury to his race so far. Spinelli there into the grass. Giorgio, no mercy on this racing. Still in front of him as they go into Blanchimont. Is Spinelli going to stick it around the outside? He is. So Giorgio is still there, though, but he's on the inside now as we go into the first part of the bus stop chicane. Giorgio trying to hang around the outside. He's not going into the pit, so now we're going 3 wide into turn 1. Giorgio not giving up this position, just refusing to give up his potential podium here by continuing to fight. Now Ahmed almost going into the back of both of them as they go through turn 1, but Spinelli now, I imagine, should have the grip, but Giorgio's still there. They're going to go side by side into Radion here. It's bumping, and as we go, Giorgio on the inside, Spinelli having to back out, Giorgio getting back in front, but Spinelli Giorgio going off the track there and getting a 3-second penalty. So now Spinelli still trying to make this move happen. Let's run on board here with Ahmed behind him. Ahmed literally 0 battery there as we switch to him. Spinelli trying to sit it, a really aggressive sin, tries right into the side of Giorgio, causes him to lose position of both of them. So Spinelli finally out in front, and Giorgio now on the back end of this fight. So a lot of fighting there, but Nadewell not able to close that gap by very much. He's still 6 seconds behind Giorgio for now. But Peter gaining about 4 seconds to this train led by Spinelli right now. So 11 seconds into the lead now for Peter, so he can just kind of cruise to the end, barring any kind of safety car. So unluckily for Rigraf, he did serve that 10-second penalty he got on lap 1, so he's down in P12. But these gaps, you look at that track map in the bottom right, the entire grid is basically just scattered all over the field right now. Ooh, you see a big snap, big slide there from Slick Goku behind Rigraf.
Kiwi's got some decent pace on him right now. He's a second a lap quicker than man in the box. I think he's got 1 lap fresher tyres than Haas driver, so give it 4 or 5 laps, he'll be on the back of him. Got George pitting now.
So Giorgio finally pitting. Has thrown in the towel and decided to finally go in. Nadewell back up into P4, but 6 seconds behind the pair of podium runners of Ahmed and Spinelli. The end of the box, still and even further behind than that. Man of the box just in his own world right now.
George, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Giorgio has committed to the full wet strategy here by putting on more full wets. So now Chonk will be the recipient of those very tough battles. Now Giorgio has cold tires. Chonk doing a little bit of a switchback there. This camera angle, not the best.
Yeah, Chonk needs to get this move done now.
Chonk is at 1% battery right now, so he may not be able to make this. He's too far back. Giorgio going a little defensive. So Chonk's just going to have to sit. Yeah, Chonk maybe just came out at the worst time for Chonk, as Chonk again had no battery as he was trying to chase him down there.
See, if George got onto the inters, he'd be rapid compared to the other drivers.
He would be.
Like, fresher tyres. Like, still wouldn't have been a bad result. Chonk on the grass again, got so much
Chonk trying to sticking around the outside. I don't know how you would make that work, particularly in these conditions. So very ambitious move from Chonk there, and he's kind of blowing his braking zones a little bit, trying to kind of be over aggressive. Oh yeah, definitely just needs to be patient, because at this point Kiwi is gone into the sunset. Ooh, really bad exit there from Giorgio. Man, Chonk having to get out of the way. Oh, Giorgio, yeah, Giorgio must have, I'm not sure. I guess he had I'm not sure where he got that damage actually, but yeah, he has a little bit of front wing damage there. So
maybe it was from the start, and just since then it's just been running it. There's a yellow flag. Who is that?
I believe it was Palm Tree, a little bit slow here.
Once again.
So again, let's get in front of Giorgio also. Giorgio actually going back into the pits. Oh no, he's just letting people by. But Spanini and Ahmed still fighting for P2. We watched Spanini get 3 seconds, hopped on board with him as soon as he went off the track. Man in the box joining him there in the realm of the 3-second time penalty.
So that's the second time we've broadcast cursed him.
Very unlucky that we just happen to be doing what we do. So Nadewell is closing the gap a little bit. It was over 6 seconds, but now it's under 6 seconds. So Nadewell's showing some solid pace. They have enough time to get in that 3-second delta to Spanini and maybe fight for a position on the podium. But Rensler and Combine behind them, currently fighting for position 5. Nowhere near any kind of podium right now, as they're about 9 seconds, 10 seconds off of potentially being in P3. We have some fighting here. Giorgio just losing more and more positions, fighting with Sudsy Marmot here. Sudsy Marmot trying to hang around the outside as we go into No Name. Giorgio, yeah, decent battle. Giorgio sticking to it, even with that bit of wing damage. He's on the, definitely, ooh, big snap from him, so he finally loses it. And that's the position of Sudsy Marmot for now. Peter setting the fastest lap again. 33% wing damage for Giorgio right now.
We've left the session, so kind of convenient, but you never know. Well, at least his AI will actually pit him, so kind of good news.
Yeah, he should pit him and replace his wing, and I'd imagine it put him on inters so he can fight with potentially Gunnar White back towards the back in Florida. So Spanini actually getting Ahmed showing some nice pace right now. Joel struggling or just not caring about track limits at all, as he is up to 9 seconds of penalties. So not a lot of people racing against each other right now. We only have 2 people inside of 1 second to the car in front. We have Combined behind Rensler fighting for P5. We have Spanini and Ahmed currently fighting for P2, but Spanini with that penalty has a disadvantage. Spanini showing 4 warnings, or at least 3 warnings right now, and Ahmed is sitting at 1. So Spanini actually setting the fastest first sector there of the session. Peter setting the fastest second sector. 12 seconds in front of Ahmed.
So I've got some weather news, and it seems like the sun will come out in 5 minutes, and that's a spun, and that's man in the box.
So man in the box looks like right in front of Puan, or at the end of No Name. Lost it there, and no damage on him, so he's going to lose a lot of positions, but he is back in the race, right in front of his teammate. Looks like he's going to let his teammate through.
Tricked the tires, ain't he?
Send Giorgio an invite. I actually don't even know if I have him on my friends list. I don't see him.
Spanini's actually lost some time to Tino. He's like a second, just under a second.
Yeah, their pace is very similar right now. It's like he's only about a 10th behind him. Just in terms of...
Like Rigrath is on the back of Chonk. Chonk's just not been with it. He's still in the top 10 though, so... I don't know how he's there, but he is.
Combined kind of falling off the back of Rensler here. Was within a second. Now over a second over the last couple of laps. Rigrath catching up with Chonk here. Chonk driving in a bit of clean air. Rigrath showing some nice pace, recovering from having to serve that 10-second penalty he picked up. Spinini setting the fastest first sector, so using that slipstream from Ahmed very nicely.
The yellow flag, that's Joel. He's retired on track.
I guess Joel has had enough and has decided to retire on the track or crashed out. But no safety car has been deployed, so I imagine that is just a retirement.
Yeah, not the race he wanted, was it? Got back late, couldn't even do quali. Decent start, but it just went downhill. I do want to see a safety car though.
Safety car would definitely make the end of this race very interesting. It would hurt Spinini quite a bit. Man in the box, Giorgio. Although Giorgio, who is still AI. So I guess he does not appear to want to rejoin as he's just typing in D2 General.
Rigraph has got a run. Chonk, turn one, just backs out of it. Maybe trying to get the switch back on him, and he does. He's got the traction down quite nicely. Side by side through Eau Rouge. Does he get the move done? He does.
Chonk backing out. Yeah, very nice move from Rigraph there. So now Rigraph was about a half a second quicker than Chonk on the last lap, and now Chonk actually, with maybe a little bit more straight line speed, trying to make something happen, but not enough battery, I think, to stick it around the outside potentially. No, he's trying. Rigraph giving him some space. They're just going to go side by side this whole middle sector, but Rigraph a little bit in front as we head towards No Name Corner. Chonk having to give up the position there as he has nowhere to go. Tries to hang around the outside as they head towards Puon here. Kagenis now racing against Slick Goku behind them. Within 1 second now. Peter setting the fastest lap for maybe the 14th time of 16 laps. We are 10 minutes from the rain.
It's been on another level.
Oh, yeah. We are about 10 minutes from the rain falling off, so we're actually not going to get anywhere close to any kind of dry. So the race will likely end on this set of tires for everyone. Chonk and Rigraph still going at it here. So back up towards the front, we have Nadewell and Rensler, and combined basically just driving in their own here. Nadewell was kind of closing the gap up to Ahmed and Spinini, but has since fallen off a little bit. And the pace of Ahmed and Spinini is just too much for him to overcome. We have more yellow flags here towards the back. Palm Tree going off track a little bit there. Florida with a little bit of wing damage, so maybe Florida maybe went into the wall through that middle sector. Florida, I believe, is still on the lead lap. Or actually, no, he just got lapped. Florida just got lapped, so I imagine he will be pitting here for a fresh front wing. Kagenis, a bit of a slide there as we hopped on board with him, but he's still chasing P10 and Slick Goku in that V-carb in front of him. One thing though, this intermediate tire is wearing quite a bit. Looks like we're sitting at something like 4% a lap, maybe a little bit less than that. But we're kind of too late to kind of see anyone try to pit. I think that is Palm Tree who just went off. I'm sorry, that was Florida who had a moment there going through turn one. So unfortunately, Kagenis has fallen off the pace of Slick Goku through this lap at least, but Slick Goku is now catching up to the back of Chonk. So Chonk, who was fighting Rigraph just a little bit ago, has fallen 3 seconds behind Rigraph and may actually be in a fight for P9 as Slick Goku is showing off some really nice pace.
I think Chonk's just really struggling out there. I think he's got the setup completely wrong today.
Must be the issue. Joel actually pinging us in general chat saying that his brake keeps getting stuck. He did show that that was an issue the other day, so Joel is having some technical issues. Needs to get that potentiometer clean, potentially. It's Slick Goku now in the fight for P9. It looks like he just has. It's just like he has so much more pace than Chonk, and they're only 1 lap difference on the tires.
I can see Chonk going back, like going down to P12 here. I don't think he'll be in the top 10.
Potentially, because he's losing time to Kagenis also. He's lapping. He did a 57.2 last lap. Goku did a 55.4. Oh, and Goku goes around. So now his battle with Chonk ends for the moment. So now he's going to slowly get back on track. So unfortunate moment for him. We have Gunnar White actually on soft tires right now. So I'm curious to see how this will go. The rain is still coming down. He actually made it through Rouge and Radion quite nicely there. There's no way we're at a point where somebody can make something happen with dry tires, right?
Yeah,
let's take a look.
It's not. It's not the F123 game. Completely different game.
We see Peter lapping Palm Tree there.
I say that. He's actually gaining time.
He's actually doing really well. This is interesting. I'm not sure if the game just decided to take a dump. So the tire delta right now is showing 6.7 seconds per lap faster, 7 seconds faster, fresh set of softs compared to Peter's intermediates. I don't know if these tire deltas are right, but we may be at a point where somebody can do some wild stuff if they decide to pit. 7 seconds a lap? Let's see, does anyone else see that? I mean, we see Gunnar White, who is not spinning or anything. He's having some nice pace. Will we see somebody go in here? It's raining, but the track actually looks dry. Do you see that? Like, the track doesn't look wet anymore. What is happening?
Yeah, I don't actually know what's going on here.
All right, somebody needs to go in. Let's just go in and do 3 insane laps, right? This is wild. Yeah, so the track is dry. Gunnar White will likely potentially set the fastest lap. Roldy, we have yellow flags again. I think that is.
Safety car.
A little late in the game. So Slick Goku having a bit of a spin on the previous lap here. Now he is struggling. He was up fighting P9 with Chonk. Palm Tree going into the pit lane, getting a speeding penalty, which won't really affect his finish as he's so far behind everyone else. But he is putting on the slick tires, so he's going to put on softs too. Gunnar White actually was gaining time. Oh, actually, Slick Goku hopped into that delta, so now let's see. Roldy setting the fastest first sector. Roldy is actually now chasing Man in the Box, both on intermediate tires, so maybe just a big toe there.
Oh no, Rage is spun. Saw that with my eyes open.
No bit of damage on his wing there, so he will be able to recover and keep going. Giorgio's AI is still behind him, so he will be disqualified at the end of this race. Rage going into the gravel there. So we have Kagenis actually pitting, so Kagenis has decided to pit. Maybe a lap too late, though, to make anything actually happen. Man in the Box pitting too. There's a lot of people pitting on the end of lap 19. Or excuse me, at the end of lap 18. As Peter just so far ahead, it's making this look a little bit confusing. But yeah, the track just looks completely dry. The telemetry compared to Spanini's intermediate tires, 8.3 seconds a lap quicker on soft tires.
I just see hard tires going
on. Not yet. We're still looking at softs. So Man in the Box and Kagenis coming out side by side. Or excuse me, Man in the Box coming out side by side with Rage. Man in the Box, though, pulling away a little bit there. Those soft tires must actually be working. Slick Goku, actually, I think he just retired into the pits. So So Peter actually pit. So Peter's coming in.
We go. We've got Rage versus Man in the Box. Going side by side. He backs out, but not sure if that's a strat. If you're on the quicker tires, and you just go for it. And it stopped raining.
It has stopped raining, so now we are just pure dry. This is just a completely dry track. I'm not sure how we went from wet to dry and then it stopped raining, but we have. Peter coming out of the pits behind both Spanini and Ahmed, so if this is the wrong call, which it certainly does not look to be, Peter actually has some time. Peter actually has to do a lot to catch back up with these guys. So see, Rage and Man in the Box still going at it. Man in the Box getting back in front of Rage there. The slick tires doing a lot. But the sector times are still not showing super quick times. We're still seeing
through sector 2.
So Rensler pitting super late onto the mediums. Rigraff staying out on those intermediates. DRS enabled, so it is a dry track now. Track is being declared dry, so with the tire delta right now compared to those intermediates, Peter's old intermediates are showing 9.3 seconds a lap slower, so he should easily clear Spanini and Ahmed, so he should just catch up with them on this lap, if nothing else. So Nadewell staying out, 24 seconds in front of Kiwi. Kiwi now inherits P5 with a lot of people pitting to slicks. So we did get to dries, so I did mention before that we weren't going to get here, but we got here really, really fast. We see Rage putting on fresh or old wet tires. Not sure about that one. Maybe a bit of an error there. So unlucky for Rage and unlucky for Red Bull.
Cargo that's spun. It is, and he's got damage.
Roldy spinning with right out of turn 1, and now he's missing half of his front wing now. So a long lap to go to get back to where he was. Rage will have an opportunity to get this position from him on these wet tires. But we see Peter only 3 seconds behind Spanini, so he will inherit P2 from the current position, and Peter setting a 2:06.5. So this will be his first actual lap on the slick tires. Gunnar White not setting any kind of fastest lap so far. His fastest lap was a 53.4. But Ahmed setting the fastest lap there. Spanini falling well behind him, so Spanini will likely be caught and overtaken by Peter on this lap. And Nadewell coming out on the slick tires as he was well in front of Kiwi, so he can kind of maybe go for fastest lap point after he does this outlap here. Combined overtaking Rigraff. Rigraff stayed out on those inners, and it's not working out for him.
Yeah, we need to watch this battle up top because this could play into T-Nail's hand. If Peter keeps behind Spanini this whole lap, then potentially T-Nail.
There's no way Peter does. The pace difference right now is so insane as we see Peter just easily drive by Spanini with. Yeah, but there he goes. Peter now in a P2. Spanini struggling heavily on those tires, but I imagine he may actually pit here and potentially fight for fastest lap, as Ahmed will be overtaken by Peter as we go into bus stop. I would imagine Peter's going to set a blazingly fast lap time here. There he goes around. Peter back into the lead. So we'll see. Will Ahmed and Spanini, I imagine with the gap that they're currently at, they're at no risk of being overtaken by Nadewell, who is 24 seconds behind them as he did pit on this previous lap. White overtaking Rage as Rage pits for soft tires on the final lap. So maybe unfortunate there for him. Peter setting the fastest lap. Ahmed back into P2. Spanini 2 seconds behind him. Both of them committing to the intermediate tire for the final lap.
Just Kiwi on inters, so combined. He's fighting for P6 right now. I mean, if he just stays with Kiwi, which we already know he's going to blister pass. He's going to take the P6 off Kiwi, but what's penalty saying? Any big penalties?
So we take a look at these. We have Kiwi with 3 seconds. We have Rensler with 3 seconds. Spanini with 3 seconds.
George is still ripping the wet tires.
His
So
AI
gotta
is
respect it.
just driving
Gotta-
to the end on those wet tires, combined getting in front of Kiwi quite easily with the help of DRS as we are in a fully dry track now.
Seems like Sudsy may actually get a P9 result on these intermediates. Don't think has believed to get in the top 10 today, but just half a lap to go.
So Giorgio's AI finally pits on the last lap. Finally pits off those wet tires and the broken front wing. Peter winning the race by almost 7 seconds to Ahmed's intermediate tire. Spini coming in P3 here. Nadewell will follow behind them in a few seconds here for P4. But Rensler and Combined still fighting for P3 here, or P5, excuse me. Combined just now outside that 3-second delta. Let's see how he does as Rensler goes through the bus stop. Nadewell setting the fastest lap as he crosses the line. Rensler really quick through that bus stop chicane, and Combined just not quick enough to kind of catch back up. 42 thousandths. Too short of that position for Combined. Kiwi comes into P7. Rigraff will come in P8 on those intermediate tires, and then Chonk and Sudsy Marmot. So Sudsy, with that penalty delta, may be able to hold on to P10 or P9 here. It looks like he will indeed. Nick Aganis will come up right behind, so about a half a second too slow to kind of jump in front of Chonk there. And then Roldy, our final penalty list person here. Gunnar White and Rage potentially fighting for P14. But they're both sitting at 3 seconds of penalties, so the order will remain the same as we finish this final lap.
Interesting race.
Very interesting race. This is the second time we've seen that this season, where the track basically goes from wet to dry in like the blink of an eye. So I guess that's just the way the weather sometimes works in this game.
Oh, once again, you got Pete Giordano winning another race in his ZRL career. But thankfully, that's the last one.
That is the last one for now. He may be back at some point. We won't make the same mistake and let him do D2 again, that's for sure. So sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
Your sandbags will not work next time. So move through here. There's our podium there.
I'm just happy Peter didn't even get fastest lap, you know.
Yeah, Nadewell snagging that fastest lap right at the end. Doesn't look like anyone was actually close to him. He beat the second fastest lap by a second and a half. So nice shot for Nadewell. I like how we see full wet rain in the back. That's interesting. Roll through the order real quick. We'll pull up our final screen. It's the wrong one. There it is. There's our finishing order. We'll move on to our interviews here. Let's see. Are these nerds in the waiting room? We have Spinini. So in P3, nice first podium of the season here, I believe, for you, Mr. Sanjay.
Yes, it is.
How was that race for you?
It was pretty good. Nothing weird happened, I'd say, other than when Giorgio was in front of me and Tanel and just would not let us by. He fought tooth and nail. I guess it was a cool spectacle, I think, but as I said, me and Tanel were like really confused why he was defending so hard against us when we were on fresh inters and he was on old wets. But other than that, it was a pretty normal race. I was really confused whether to pit or not at the end. With that 3 seconds, like I didn't want to lose to Nadewell and then like maybe have to overtake him. So yeah, decided to stay out. Yeah, pretty much after I got that 3 second, I decided not to really fight against Tanel either, because yeah, I feel like we would just slow us down, and then Nade will catch up, and that could be more positions that I would lose to the penalty. But other than that, it was pretty normal race, pretty good.
All right, so we do have Japan in a couple of weeks. We have a week off this weekend, or next week, and then we'll be back with Japan. So, how are you feeling about that track, or have you done anything on this game at
Not on
Japan?
this game, but Japan is usually like a fun track for me. Um, so hopefully it carries over. Like usually the tracks I like on the previous games have been okay here. Like Spa, I like Spa on all the other games, and honestly, it hasn't been too bad this in this year's game. I just have to watch out for curbs. I'm gonna guess it's the same way for Japan. So, um, yeah, hopefully it'll be a good race. Yeah, I don't know if Peter's gonna be here anymore after this race. So
This is his
someone
final
else needed to,
race, at
yeah,
least in
someone
the
else already
Ferrari
camped
seat.
now.
Well, that other person we do know is Chubb Tucker, so um, we will
Okay,
have him on the grid
I've
with you
raced
guys.
against Chubb in other leagues, so I think he's more closer to us than Peter. Peter's just kind of insane. He was gone the whole time. But yeah, good race, good race. Like it was pretty clean from everyone I'd say that I went through. Um, and then unexpected wet race as well. So we haven't had that really yet. So it was a good experience.
All right, well,
But yeah,
congratulations, Spanini, on that podium, and we
thank
look
you.
forward to many more this season and in
Thank you.
the seasons to come. So,
Yeah, thank you guys for commentating as well.
yeah, you bet, man. Have a good night. And then in P2, we have the team principal of the Kick Sauber Steak F1 Pop Tarts, Peach Smoothie, Laxative, Sauber team, or whatever it's called. Ahmed, how do you feel after that race?
I feel great. First wet race with no line. Calibrated pretty good. Me and Spinini were neck and neck on pace. Although once he got his 3 second, I was holding back a little, I was just managing the pace. I was a little frustrated behind that RB. Me and Spinini. That may have influenced my decision to pit. Who knows? Maybe I could have won. But at the end of the day, a P2 is a P2, and yeah, I'm happy.
All right, well, congrats on that P2 again. Next, in 2 weeks' time, after our week off this week, we have Japan. Have you done any Japan on this game yet?
No. But, we'll roll with it. Just got to finish. And I feel like I'll have a great position.
All right, man. Well, again, congrats on that podium, and we look forward to the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And then in P1, likely for the last time this season, actually, I don't know what your plans are, but at least in the Ferrari seat that you're currently sitting, we have Mr. Peter Giordano smoking everyone, Cody Lawrence
Please don't.
style. How do you feel after your last, I guess, official race for this season?
Definitely the way I wanted to end it. Yeah, for sure. It was a good race.
For a D1 driver.
Yeah, I know. But probably should have been, but it's okay.
So Peter, go ahead.
No, I really didn't have much to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you're going back to school, I believe, in Timbuktu. I think is what you said.
Yep.
So you're not gonna do like Fred does and maybe hop in a race or two at 1 a.m.
Hey, come
So
on,
I mean, I'm going on vacation otherwise for like 2 weeks next week. So I'm gonna miss 2 races because of that. Otherwise, I would have been here for the next 3 races too.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So I'm open to reserve in the Netherlands if anyone wants me. But
Oh,
other than
P1
that,
or
I just can't bring my setup to school. I don't really have the room or the energy. Can't be bothered to do it. So this is it for now.
All right, man. Well, congratulations
Good
on
luck.
this. I guess 2 of 3 wins in the 3 races you did. I'm sure you would have just ran away with the championship Marcel style if you had that opportunity. So we'll give you kind of an honorary championship here, but not an official one. So you got to come back if you want a real one.
Yeah, I want to come back eventually at some point. And this was the only race I won this season.
Oh,
My first race win since season 2.
oh,
Some
okay.
old.
That's a long time ago. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
season 11 now. So, all right. Well, hey, congratulations, man. Enjoy your vacation and enjoy Timbuktu or wherever you go to school.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And we look forward to seeing you back sometime in the future.
Yeah, you guys too.
All right, Fred. Well, that wraps us up, brother. I'm sure you're waiting to go to bed, so we'll just end this now. Again, we have 1 week off next week, and then we'll be back for Japan. So we will see you guys then. Everyone have a nice night.